Skyrocket my career to my destiny. Let none stop me, get the best of me. We the chosen ones, what's electory?
The basics of emotions are just brain chemicals,
Mhm.
like, and the thing is, we don't really obviously consciously control what brain chemicals are put out. So that's an interesting idea of emotions is that sometimes these emotions they create this energy, whatever it is, frustration, anger, happiness, whatever, right? But sometimes it's not directly correlated exactly with what our conscious mind sees in front of us. Sometimes it's a trigger. So, a lot of the parts with the break the locks is figuring out like these triggers that cause these emotions. But like you said, it's worth diving in because sometimes it's not what's right in front of you. You can be, sometimes you're just pissed and then everything in front of you pisses you off, right? You don't know what,
Yeah.
but what's the core reason? It could be something you're not even thinking about. But
Yeah.
it is a good indicator because I honestly believe, like with the four keys, that strong emotions are directly tied to a denying of one of the four keys. Either it's hurting your sense of hope, security, value, and connection. Like you're
And
making me
so
feel like
repeat that. So those are your four. So what
yeah,
are the four?
hope, security, value, and connection. So if something is breaking your idea that, hey, tomorrow's not going to be a better day, or like, something is hurting your security, like you're making me feel unsafe, you're making me feel like I'm in a environment that I can't thrive, or you're making me feel like I'm a piece of crap, I'm not worth anything, or I feel like you're something happened where I feel less connected. That's the strong emotion. The other emotion that's strong is frustration, which is basically, if you look at a line of thought, it's basically what you thought the outcome should be, and then just of our brain, how it becomes like this like, okay, this is going to happen, then now this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, but then suddenly this doesn't happen. That's frustration because it just broke that whole plan that we had, right? So that's the bigger the plan was, the more like we feel when like we get frustrated, right? So it's those types of emotions, but I think it's important, especially for the manifestation thing, to kind of point you in the right direction, like you're saying, because what we're talking about with the 90% and filling that in, that's just like a very tip of the iceberg of manifestation. That's just kind of
I feel
putting
like
you
it's
in
the
the like,
foundation.
it's a foundation. Well, because it's something we can understand that, yeah, reality is not really reality. Reality is what's in here. So that means it could shape it. But if you really want to manifest something in your life, there's many ways you can do it, but all it is you have to create a truth. And if it really becomes that a truth, and it has positive energy around that truth that you're trying to achieve it, then it manifests in your life. So the way I try to do it is, and the way I teach people is to find their purpose. And then what we've talked about a purpose. So I guess the purpose not being like something specific you're trying to do, but the purpose being like what you're probably best made to be able to do here. Um, so the purpose is now like the multiplication that you're learning. The purpose is, hey, I know the foundation of what my purpose is. Like, for me, my purpose ended up being to teach people and to help people with what I've learned and discovered, which is what I'm doing. I'm learning stuff and I teach people with it, right? But what is that exactly, and how do I exactly do that? So that's kind of like the unknown, like learning calculus or whatever. But everything that I put in the path of that I could become a truth, as long as there's no negative energy around it, you can manifest. And that's kind of the recipe for it, or the formula for it. Because the reason why I do it with your purpose is because your purpose is a mixture of, so without going too far into the four keys, it's your spiritual desires and your physical desires, which is hope, security, value, and connection, gives you fulfillment, and your physical, just what makes you feel good. So it's essentially what you physically kind of like doing, that the brain chemicals kind of like, it stimulates you, but
Mhm.
also gives you long-term fulfillment. That's kind of like what you're made to do. So the reason you focus on that is because there's the least negative energy around that. Like you feel the least amount of resistance for it, because that's why it's called break the locks, because there's locks on everything that's a resistance. So if you align it with that, then essentially whatever you create as truths in the past is something that you can manifest, and that's the whole the program that we're putting together to be able to do that. But with the emotion part is that a lot of times that will steer you, because whatever you feel very emotional about can lead you that, like, where is the opposite of that, like something I really want in life? Is it my purpose? Like if it's something that's getting you pissed, like what is it I truly want? Because that's essentially that's all we're trying to do. Because the end fundamental idea, and people are going to say this is controversial or whatever, is that, you know, your subconscious wants to give you what you truly want in life. And if you believe you have it, then if you have the right, what I call spiritual gratitude, you can actually manifest that. And it's interesting
Compare
because
that
there's a
to
lot of,
vibration.
so I mean, yeah, it has to do with the vibration, being in the right kind of state to be able to do that, right? That's the vibrational state. But this idea is written in tons of ancient texts, but it's actually in the Bible too. So the Bible actually says that, there's so many, like, ask and you shall receive, believe you've had it, and oh, how come you don't have it? Oh, ye of little faith, right? So the idea is that you need to align these truths with why you are here. And then why you're here is basically what you're most grateful for. So when you are able to do that, it's what you're most spiritually grateful for. So it's almost like prayer, if you think of it as prayer. Because the idea of, like, think about this. If you are trying to create a truth that's in line with your purpose that hasn't actually happened yet, then how do you actually believe that it will happen? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Because it's the fundamental truths of what you believe is like, it literally is the lock or the unlock. So
Right.
if it's, again, so yeah, your truth is a very important, it's literally the foundation of it all. And if you
Yeah, but
can,
how do
yeah,
you create? So, say for instance, you're trying to manifest something in particular, right?
mhm,
Um, like how, and it's something that you haven't attained yet. But the whole formula is that you need to align it with where you're trying to go as a pathway, and believe that it's a requirement for that pathway, but believe that it just will happen. It is so. It's already happened. And that's kind of the foundation that's been written in all these texts and in the Bible and things like that. But how do you convince yourself that it's happened when it doesn't happen?
right. Yeah.
I mean,
Are you asking me
so
like, how do I
yeah,
do
I'm
that?
asking your opinion. Yeah, I'm asking your opinion on that. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that
Because
that also,
this is the foundation of where people get lost with this, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people is like, even The Secret is like that. Believe you have it before you got it, right? So there's a lot of different manifestation techniques that tell this. Even the Bible says this, but like, where did that come from, right? So actually,
what if there is a framework, like our creator, whatever your thoughts are, whether we have one or not, but um, I do believe that I believe that there is intelligent design and somebody had to design it.
yeah.
That's my personal thought, or something. God, it's just what I call him, or her, or whatever. So what if, like, based on what you're saying, um, if there is a framework of what you are able to manifest, what if there are boundaries, and in order to maximize the potential of what you're saying, is you build the foundation with your truths, right? But you have a certain potential. And if you, like, for example, if I want to be a motocross racer, but for whatever reason, I want a racing boat, it doesn't necessarily line up with who I think I am. And, and
Exactly.
so it's almost like you're not going to get it in a way, because it's kind of it's outside of your scope. But if I understand that I am a motorcycle racer, and then there's a Kawasaki, whatever the hell the new bike is that is amazing. And I manifest that, and it could be a very expensive bike, but I can't do that because I've aligned my foundation with my identity, with my energy, and I've put myself in a certain vibrational state that has basically attracted that. It was able to, like a magnet, pull that from the ether into the front of my attention, I guess. But with that boat, it's kind of like it kind of breaks the power because you're deviating outside of your
Exactly.
control.
So that's the whole purpose for that. Because so so going back to the original question. So I want to answer that first. So the idea behind the of how do you believe that you can you can get something that you don't have. That's actually what faith is, right? So what's really interesting, and then going back to your question first, if you it's a lot easier. So say for instance, you're trying to manifest money, right? And say like you're trying to manifest $10,000, but you've only made like, $5 an hour your whole life. That's like in your mind, it's kind of like it's like calculus.
Unattainable.
It's kind of the unknown. It has that energy of the unknown around it, right? You can't have the energy of the unknown. It has to be solidified as a truth. So anytime you have that negative, I wouldn't say it's a negative energy, but it's a energy that has it is, I guess, like a almost like a worry, or almost like a negative, um like your brain will search for things because it doesn't know the answers, right? So it's energy that causes that to happen. If you made $5 an hour, it's hard to do that. But say you make 30,000 a month, and you're saying I need to try to make 10,000. It's not even a thought. That's like I've done it so many times. This is easy stuff. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So that part of it is easy for you to figure out, right? But really, what's the difference? Like in the world of like the universe, what's really the difference? It really is just in your head, right? It's just like
Yeah.
your experience and what you believe. So that means it has really nothing to do with things. It's really what you believe to be a truth. Like I can try to manifest me being able to win the slam dunk contest in the NBA, but well, can I ever get that to be a truth in my head, right? I
Right.
don't no, probably not, because I understand my limitations, and our brains are not strong enough to get beyond those blocks of like, hey, I'm only 5'8", right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But certain things we can get around. Um, but what's interesting, so the whole manifestation, just breaking it down. If you look at it in the context of religion, it's it's all you're really doing is figuring out exactly what you want in life. So figuring out why you're here and aligning that with what you want. Technically, I don't think you have to in order to manifest. It's not 100% required to align it with why you're here. But if you want to do it on like you want to do it on command, I feel that it's much easier because everything in the path will be much clearer, because there'll be
Mhm.
so much more obstacles if you don't do it this way. But the idea is if you really, really know what you want, and then if you look at that map of energy that's surrounding that, and it's there's no blocks, there's no locks on it, there's no like negative energy. So say for instance you're trying to manifest money, but then now what's the amount? Say it's $100,000, right? But then now you look at that $100,000 and what stems from it. It could be like, oh, financial security, freedom, but then sometimes it may be, you know, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
hey, I might blow it at the casino, or I might,
Yeah.
am
You
I
have
gonna
bad
buy?
habits.
Yeah,
You're going to attribute
right.
that
So like,
with fear. Yeah.
so just think about if you're asking the universe or God or your subconscious, whatever you believe that may be, if you're asking somebody, the higher power, to give you what you want, but you say, "Hey, I want this," but then in your subconscious you have all this like, "But I'll probably do that," but you know what I mean? So why would it give it to you, right? It has to be super, super clear, like on what you. So that's the whole idea. You figure out exactly what you want and make sure there's no negative ties around that, and it becomes a truth. And then essentially you have faith that it will happen. So there's ways to do that, but essentially it's it's giving spiritual gratitude towards it. So whatever's going to bring you the most hope, security, value, connection by your foundation of the way you believe, it will give you the most satisfaction. If you honestly believe that it will do that and you don't have any negative things around it, you can manifest it. And that's the formula for it. And it's crazy because I mean, you talked about the secret on that lady that says like, "Oh, I'm going to manifest check in the air," but I mean, literally, we, I tried it just as an experiment to manifest some money, and it
Yeah.
was kind of like
And
it
it worked.
wasn't a check in the mail, but it was knocks at the door, essentially, right?
Right. Right. Which does go down in the book of, like that was an experiment and, it worked. So
Yeah.
that's,
So
yeah.
I do it multiple times, more different things. I mean, of course, for bigger things, it's not as easy because when it's bigger, like big things, right, that are uncomfortable to you, it's harder to break those locks. And that's
Yeah,
the whole
for sure.
idea of break the locks, right? Like manifesting that, like 100,000 versus a million versus 10 million, like there's a whole different ball game when it comes to some of those because you're not there yet, right? You haven't seen that yet. So it's like it's more difficult to do it. But it's not only about money. You can manifest relationships. You can manifest, where you want to go. And yeah, the synchronicities that we've seen are pretty crazy, as far
Yeah.
as
Oh,
what's been
oh
going
yeah.
on. But it's very interesting because so like if you look at even the Bible, so part of the whole idea is if you actually do some repetition, there's some repetition work that's required to kind of retrain your subconscious, right? So the whole idea is you're telling your higher power, your subconscious, what it is you really, really want. Okay.
Yeah.
But it can't just be like asking Santa for a present, right? There, that I think that's what's lost in translation. Like one of the things that I honestly believe is kind of not a conspiracy, but you know how giving thanks, like in the Bible, religious teaching, giving thanks and prayer is like power. It's
Mhm.
like it's seen as like this amazing power, but then we've been trained to just say thank you for everything. Hold the door open for me, thanks. Thanks for the dollar,
Water
whatever,
to
whatever,
go.
right? So the idea of the thank you has become very like superficial.
Mhm.
But the thanks
Pretty
that they're
deep.
talking about for this is like what I call the spiritual gratitude, like the things that are bringing you hope, security, value, connection. So if you actually meditate and you find some points, like the energy that you feel when you feel strong, hope, security, and value, connection, you can actually retain that energy. And what's interesting is I'm sure you've seen some of the meditations where like you recall some moments that you feel powerful or like certain energies, and then you do like a hand sign or like you do something like this where your hand or you touch your
A
shoulder or
mudra.
something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, like NLP teaches this
Yeah.
that you can actually that energy comes back. Like even when if you meditate enough and have this feeling, you build up the feeling and you like do this, and then you go about your day and then you do this and then that energy comes back. It's interesting because what do you do when you pray? Like you have this, right? So I think originally it was almost like that meditation. Like it was supposed to bring that super high energy of gratitude when you did this and then try to link with what you're asking for because literally that's kind of the secret. But it used to be much easier because we weren't bombarded with all this nonsense that tries to divert our gratitude. You know what I mean? Like, is our gratitude for our higher power or is it our employer that's writing the check, right? Or is it for it's all diverted. So that's the whole break the locks thing is to clean that up so you can divert the gratitude in the right place so there's no negative energy about what you're trying to manifest and then it'll happen for you.
So I see it kind of pulling it all together is that we're all little satellite dishes. We're placing ourselves in different trajectories, right? And that if you know what you want and who you are, right? It's like you're you're adjusting the trajectory of your satellite dish, and that if you are pointed, if you put yourself into the proper angle, you're opening yourself up to everything that the world has to give you. And sometimes, if you don't know who you are and what you want, your truths, like what we're talking about, then you're on a shaky foundation, right? But if you are very clear of your purpose, like what you're saying and who you are and what you want, then you have a solid, steady beam that is projecting out there. And sometimes if you're not directly pointed in the right direction, but you're still kind of in the similar direction, you still get feedback, right? It's like almost with a channel. Like when I was a kid, you turn the channel and then on one channel, it's like you have the wavy line, but you can
Yeah, how many
still
how many people remember this part, right? All you young people don't know what
probably
this
not a
means
lot
with the
anymore.
TV.
Yeah, but if you're pointing somewhat, you're still getting stuff in, so you can still. But in order to get the full signal, you have your truths, you have your purpose, and then the meditation kind of probably helps you direct it a little bit more because you're more aware. And then, but that gratitude that you're talking about, what if it doesn't emanate from inside of us? What if we just
I don't think it
put
does.
ourselves? What's that?
I said I don't think it does.
Okay. So yeah, well, that's kind of the question, because when I feel grateful, I feel it, right? So most people, I think, feel the same way. Like I feel it, so it emanates from me. It's created inside of me, and I emanate it out into the whatever, into the universe. But like this conversation is making me picture that we just place ourselves in the proper with the proper trajectory, with our foundation, and it's like
Yep.
we're getting that in basically implanted in us from our creator or from the universe or from an energy that we're not really able to really
Yeah. I mean,
define.
if you want to get really into it, I mean, I honestly believe the meaning of life, the purpose of life, is manifestation. The whole idea is is
Deep.
is is creation, and then we facilitate creation, because if you think of it this way, I mean, with this could go on forever if I, but remember the
Open
idea
the
that I
door.
was telling you. I remember the idea that I was telling you about how the purpose of life is to have the fluctuation in the energy levels, because if the afterlife is perfection and it's all a straight line of perfect, then that means since everything is based on highs and lows and like comparison, like there's no hot, there's no cold, there's no good, there's no evil, right? If everything is good and perfect, then that means it's a stagnant line, and that means there's no creation. Because the only time that you can manifest something, the only reason you manifest something that you really want in life is because there is a lack of it. So that means that there is, so that's why you see these rags to riches stories of people who are able to manifest these amazing things when they have such a hardship or a lack, because a lot of times that low potentially could lead to a high, but the low is where you appreciate what you don't have more. So it's what you really want in life, what you appreciate the most is what you're going to want to manifest. But that won't happen unless there is a low, which cannot happen like in the afterlife. So we're here to experience these fluctuations to be able to manifest our reality.
Yeah.
Nothing will happen if there was no need. Like just in layman's terms, like inventions don't happen if there was no problems. They're all solving problems, right? So you have a problem, something's invented. It's the same thing with our universe. If everything was perfect, nothing would exist. We don't need anything to exist. So the
Yeah,
whole
that's an
idea is
interesting
that we
thought.
can we can manifest these things because there is a lack and there is a need. So it's our job to do that. But I
Yeah.
believe that the subconscious is a link to the higher power. And then what our core fundamental like purpose, why we're here, our initial desire, our main desires is a gift that's given to us by the higher power. Because everybody, we all
I agree
have
with
hope,
that.
security, value, and connection. We all have that desire, but how that how that's manifested or how you believe that's going to be fulfilled in your life is different among everybody.
Mhm.
But that's the gift of what you're given. And then with that gift, you have now, if you figure what that is out, you can manifest that. Now you're creating in the world. And that's my belief.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a lot to chew on. And I
Definitely.
don't disagree with you because I know from my personal experience with, with my son that had a 10% chance of survival and had 10 major surgeries and was in the NICU for however long. And there were so many experiences of life or death and trepidation and helplessness. And it literally felt like part of my insights were being emptied out, because it was like I was being numbed because there was certain things that I was just like, I couldn't handle. It was too much. And, but hindsight, now he's 11 and I look back at it and what I see, what I feel is that again, it was emptiness, but now I feel like I've filled that emptiness up with love. And before that situation happened, I didn't have space. I didn't have that empty space for love because
Right.
because I literally feel love at a different level than I did before that happened. And it was
Hmm.
because of the lack thereof, or the lack of peace of mind, the lack of stability, the lack of knowing, that created the space where now I can love at a deeper level. I have a deeper level of discernment and understanding of my own situation than I did before that. And then if that didn't happen, I wouldn't feel and have the discernment that I have now. And so it's I love having these conversations because it's, you know, it, both of us have our own perspective on this, but it's very similar and just, there's a different way of explaining it, right? And so I feel like
Yeah.
people that are watching this can kind of get both,
And
and yeah,
that was kind of the whole idea. It's just the way my brain works. I want to have a clear, like, at least a step by step. Even if the step means like, hey, the step is like acknowledging that you don't know, right? But at least like a step, right? So I think a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people have these same beliefs. They just don't. It's just not organized in a way that like, oh, shoot, it makes sense to do it. I mean, that was kind of my whole purpose, is to like make it digestible for our simple little brains to kind of digest so we can actually put it into action, instead of just like letting it go with the flow and, oh, it's like it just happens when it happens. No, make it, something actionable.
yeah, have a conscious
Hmm.
conscious in order to make
Yeah.
it, and for you it equates to impact, right? Because if now I've seen the Break the Locks curriculum, not all of it, but I've taken the purpose test, for my purpose, and I felt like that was a really impressive way, and it was like dialed in exactly how I feel, and and I look back at my life experiences and I'm like, oh wow, that's right on. That's right on what you did. So be from, learning your purpose and then with other people that have gone through, well, with, I'll wait for you to come back. Oh, where'd you go again?
All right. I don't know.
So, so, um, okay, that's, I guess we can start over from there. But basically, I've seen people that have gotten farther in your program that say it's life changing. That says, so I feel like that's also something that I need to throw out there that if somebody's looking, if somebody's feeling lost, if somebody is, struggling in some way, the Break the Locks program, I believe, will help. It'll help, and it's going to make an impact. It's going to have different exercises and thought projects that are going to help you understand yourself at a better level, which is going to give you tools to get to that place in life that you're trying to. If you don't care where you end up, it's not for you. But if you're trying to improve your situation, the way that you feel in life, that Break the Locks, again, I'm not trying to plug that, but I do think that I've seen people and how it's affected them, and that it is something that has truly made their life better. And, and again, it's not for everyone, but if that is you and you're trying to get into a better spot and you're having struggles with certain things, I think that, you know, check out that Break the Locks program. But how would they find that Break the Locks program?
Well, they got to join our trajectory community.
Yeah. So I guess if they're watching this podcast, they've already seen
Yeah.
it somewhere. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting stuff.
Yeah. If you join our online community, just go to Trajectory Global and join the online community. There'll be a lot of stuff about Break the Locks posted there. But yeah, I mean, it's a simple. I mean, it's a pretty intensive program, but the concept is simple. I mean, it's really a lot of it is self discovery. It's just figuring out what are you best equipped to do with your life. Like, what should you be doing with your life that'll make you fulfilled? What number one? What will fulfill you the most in life? And what's kind of stopping you from doing that? Right. And so
Yeah.
it's really understanding what your current state of reality is, whether that stems from your DNA or, past experiences, and figuring out what your current reality is and shaping that to what you want. So once you figure out what you really want, that's the hard part, because most people, I think the basic one is most people don't know what they really want in life.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and
agree with
because if,
that.
if it's interesting because I'm sure you probably know some guys that like how did they pass the fifth grade, right? There's
Yeah.
some guys
Okay.
that, and then they don't think of anything, and they have one track mind, like this is what I want, and they get it. Like they're like, I know some guys that are like killing it. They're super successful. They have great, and then but that's the simplicity of like just knowing one thing and just doing that. That makes it easy. But for a lot of people, they don't know exactly what they want in life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad, because like life is short. Like if you don't know what you want, then you don't know who you should be or who you want to be, and then you don't know how your best life could be lived, how the universe could be the best for you. It all stems from what you want. So that's all it is: figuring out what you want and creating the world around you to match that, and then understanding that there are things out there that are trying to not allow you to do this. Because if everybody was able to live the life they want, then like why would we need like so many things of these things
Well,
that
how
are
can I
placed.
manipulate you? How can I manipulate
Exactly.
you if you're perfectly happy? So, so that being said,
Well,
yeah, I agree. If oh man,
There's a recording. There's gonna be a lot of editing
Edit.
in this one.
Yeah, but I think yeah, there's so many ways that we can bring it back, but if somebody's perfectly happy, if you're perfectly happy, you're hard to be manipulated. But if I can instill a tread of doubt or fear or desire of want in you, then I can manipulate you. And so I think the part of break the locks also is that you have a better understanding of yourself. You're going to be in a much stronger position and you'll be less likely to be manipulated as strongly. So I think what you're doing
100%.
is good work and it's helping people. And again, what I like is you're not like, I'm the guru, you're doing this. This is the secret to life. In that way, you're coming at it in a way of like, hey, check this out. If you do these things, you're going to understand yourself better. And then you create your own reality. And I like that. I like that about Break the Locks. I like that about how we're doing everything is we're not professing, you have to do this, this, this. This is how you should
No,
live. This is, it's more of what do you want? Oh, you don't know here. Let's go on a journey and then you figure it out for yourself. And I respect that. I like that. And I think it's going to help a lot of people.
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, I mean, it's become my purpose to help people with this, but so far it's been helping people, and yeah, we just got to get it out there.
Sounds good, man. All right. Well, I feel like we've kicked this around pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of nuggets to chew on. That's for sure.
Agreed. Okay.
All right.
So whoever tuned in, thanks for tuning in. And if you guys have any other topics that you'd like to engage in, so maybe that's the other thing. Part of what we're trying to do with this trajectory podcast and everything is not just be two people pontificating about the answers to life. We want interaction. We want engagement. So if you have thoughts on what we've talked about, we definitely want to hear from you. And maybe you can be in one of our podcasts, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So if you join the online community, I mean, we post it, and so just comment, ask your questions, give your thoughts on it. We'll definitely respond, and hopefully the whole community will respond to it. We just want to start the conversation and keep the conversation going. And also, we're going to be doing some live podcast recordings. So if you join the community, you'll see when we do those, and you can actually come in person and participate and be on the podcast with us. But it's really about getting everybody involved. It's again, it's not just supposed to be us two. So the whole idea of trajectory is just ideas, experiences, knowledge that can potentially improve the trajectory of someone's life. So if that's you, or if you know somebody that could do that, we definitely want to speak with them and bring them onto the podcast so we can help everybody in the community thrive.
Well said, my friend.
Yeah.
That being said, let's pull it to a close. And thanks again for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Scotty.
See ya. Thank you.